How are you?
Very, very good. A lot's changed since we last spoke.
I know. So, for anyone listening to this interview, obviously, if people follow me, they'll know that I've talked about you and the fact that we've met before, and we knew each other from pre Mark Chamberlain times. That was 2 years ago. Now we trained together in Marbella, and I mean that's quite the turnaround from what was going on then to where you are right now.
Yeah, it's come on quite a bit since then. Like I say, we had the big opportunity with Chamberlain at Wembley. Um, Fizzled out a little bit after that, and then like I say, the Stevenson opportunity has come along, taken that, and then that has paid off massively. And like I say, I'm in a position that back in Marbella, we were probably talking about where I want to be at boxing. I'm now in that position. Fast forward 2 years, and I'm living it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I talk about you and I talk about you a lot behind the scenes because I loved your mentality when we met in Marbella. And what you are is living proof of what happens when you stay committed to the goal, stay committed to the task, stay solid within your mind, keep going even when it's tough. So I want to like throw back to when we met. Obviously, we met at a 4 day camp with an amazing coach called Kerry out in Marbella. And what I found so profound about you is the fact that you had an idea in your head and you stayed ready for the next opportunity. So you even then were talking about the fact that you never really go too much higher above your weight. You're always basically training like you're in camp, even when you were doing a full-time job. And that obviously fast tracking to now shows that if you stay committed to those goals, what do you think it is about you that has created such a strong, determined mentality? Have you always been this way?
Um, I don't know. I've always had it in my head that I wanted to be not, without. So I didn't want to just be normal. And I've always had that, like I say, that in my mentality, and I didn't want to just live a normal lifestyle sort of thing. Which when you're doing a 9 to 5 job as you would, like say, even longer hours than that, obviously being an electrician. In the back of my mind, I knew that if I wanted this to change, then obviously I needed to stay disciplined and focused for the boxing. And then like when the opportunities do come, I'm ready and make the most of it. And like I say, hoping that they did pay off, and long behold, they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really special mentality to have as well, having that like, I don't want to be normal and doing it in a way that you do it with chest, because actually that self-belief is the thing that steps you forward. Because if you believe that and you can act on it, it'll keep you pushing at all costs. I mean, talk us through where your head was at in between Chamberlain and going then obviously between Chamberlain and Stevenson, there was a gap, like you just said, like there was a kind of a lull, if you like. Like where was your head at during that time?
Again, it's sort of we were getting to the stage. We boxed Chamberlain in September. We had a few little offers come in that we didn't really think that they were worth it. Obviously, we'd fought hard Chamberlain and got in a really good position. So then it was about making the most of that position and not giving it up easy, because as much as I'd got that position, if I one little hiccup, I'd have been back on the small hall shows and back to nobody knew who I were. So there were a few opportunities that we'd passed on. Obviously, making we needed to know what the best plan for us were. But it won. Like I say, I thought after that win that I'd have been signed at that stage, and I'd have been a full time athlete then and all that sort of thing. But that didn't develop at all. Um, Went back to work. I had a week holiday, and then I went back to work, and it didn't really happen. There were people saying, "Yeah, we'll get back to you. We're going to work with you," and it just sort of completely fizzled out. Um, and then fast forward right up until the the week before the Stevenson fight, we had two offers that we were potentially going to take, and they interested us. So all the way through that time, then we're a case of obviously still training, still obviously like I say, keeping the mindset there that obviously my team and my manager and everything was saying, Josh, you're in a good position, trust us, something's going to come. But obviously as a fighter, you sort of want things to happen overnight, which is not the case at all. But like I say, I've done it before and I'll do it again. I was stuck in the gym even when things aren't going my way, and like I say, it paid off even bigger than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, it did. I mean, one of the things that I thought was really interesting about the Stevenson experience is you'd obviously come in on a few days' notice. I'm sure you're like tired of talking about this because you've already talked about it a million times at this point to a million different people. But did you have any idea the show that you were putting on and the experience that was landing with your audience when it was happening? Did you have any idea what we were seeing?
Um, when you're in the ring, you sort of zone out, and you even through the amateurs and stuff. And obviously, it's nice to have a crowd and stuff like that. But I've been an amateur and took just me and my coach, so it doesn't affect how I fight or anything like that. So you sort of do zone out when you're in that ring. But having said that, I can remember getting up off the canvas for the second time and the full arena in Saudi erupting. And there's always that stigma in Saudi. Obviously, prior to this fight, there'd been no atmosphere. But it wasn't the case at all. Like I say, even when my head was down, leaving the ring after obviously getting defeated, everybody was cheering. There were no boos or anything towards me, which was I can remember thinking, obviously walking back to the changing rooms, having my head down. I thought someone's probably going to say something here but not one negative comment on the way out. Everybody screaming, shouting, like I say, people that I'd never met before shouting my name. I took 15 fans out to Saudi Arabia on that short notice, and they somehow managed to get the full arena shouting my name, which were obviously incredible. Um, like I say, I've had quite the support off the back of it, so it's all worked out good.
I don't think, I mean, obviously your fans were amazing because they're a great support to you anyway. But I think actually, Josh, that wasn't just about the fans that you brought. It was the performance that you gave that made it so easy for the audience to cheer you on. I think that even Stevenson found it odd that, you could see if you watched back the fight, the kind of looks he was, there was moments where he was just like, what? Like, what's going on? Because for him, he's pound for pound the best of the best. Like you were just this guy who kind of rocked in on a lucky job. So he couldn't probably fathom what was happening, that the whole audience was behind you, even though you might not have been winning the fight. The heart and soul that you were showing in there on 4 days' notice won everybody's attention. And I think that was why the room was shouting so much. I mean, I text you afterwards that when you got up off the canvas the second time and everyone started cheering, I was like, don't cry, Rachel. Don't cry. I was like, this is like a movie moment. He's getting up and everyone's cheering for him. He's won the whole room around, which is just so special because you don't actually see moments like that very often, right?
No, that's it. Like there were obviously my coach were in the corner saying, "Look, obviously, given the circumstances, I'm not going to let you take unnecessary punishment in there." But he said you kept coming back and just throwing more punches. He said, "So I couldn't not obviously keep letting it go on." He says you weren't. He says you'd obviously go down. That was the frustrating part for me is the fact that feeling the power in there, obviously the headshots and stuff. I know being fully conditioned, I would have been able to take them body shots,
Yeah.
which is obviously in the ring. That's what, like I said, when I got down, I was showing that frustration is the fact that I'd get tagged in the solar plex, and without my body even trying to let me absorb the shot, my legs would give up, and then I'd be on floor, and I'd be like, "Why am I here? I know I should be able to take these shots because I can take them to the head, and it's not damaging me. Obviously, I was getting tagged, but." That was the frustration in there. The fact that I know that I should be able to take these, but obviously the conditioning just weren't there. Um, to go. But like I say, it played into quite the story with people being able to watch. Because like I say, every time everybody were like, "Oh, he's back, he's coming."
Yeah, he's back up again. Yeah, the third time when you hit your hands on the canvas, I almost was just like, I wonder what's going through his head because I was wondering if you had realized that you'd done enough at that point to like make your mark, win everything. Because obviously that was the point when your corner threw in the towel, wasn't it? It was just like, you don't need to do more. Like, did it feel like that, or did you feel like, no, just let me keep going, I can finish it?
It was more frustration than anything else. Because like I say, then I know that I should be able to take them shots, but they're just my body won't even. Whenever you get a shot to the stomach, or whatever, you're winded and you're pushing it out. But my body wouldn't even let me do that. My legs were just as soon as I was getting hit, my legs were giving up, and then I was like, why? Why is that happening? It was just completely taking the air out of my legs, and then I'd be able to get back up. We know obviously we're not winded or anything, and no pain to my ribs, but he'd tag me again, and I'd be going back down. It were like, why is it? I couldn't fathom why this were happening. Obviously, that was the frustration that I was showing is the fact that being conditioned, I should have been able to take them, but obviously, given the circumstances, I couldn't.
But you did. I mean, you did something magic that day, and it was funny because I sent a message to a friend of mine because we always talk about the fights afterwards, and I said, what did you think of Padley? And he was like, yeah, what a geezer, like smashed it, da 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 da. And I said then, I went, I think Matchroom's going to sign him. I think Eddie's got a bit of a soft spot for him because the way he was, the way that Eddie was talking about you, he really had like a fondness and a real kind of this kid's got something. So when you signed with Matchroom, I was like, I called it. I
Knew
should have
it.
put money on it. Should have put money on it. Yeah. I mean, did that, how quickly did that come around? Because obviously after that fight, based on the experience with Chamberlain, were you kind of the mindset of like, don't expect anything. Let's just have a good time. Be happy I was here. What was your thoughts like?
So prior to going out, obviously the negotiations on Tuesday night, as part of the negotiations, we incorporated a one fight comeback fight with Matchroom because we knew we were selling ourselves short given the 4 days notice. And obviously I had really good world rankings before that. I think I was like 15th in WBC, 7th or 8th in WBO, and I knew that I was going to compromise all these rankings. So we sort of said, we'll do it and we'll come out. But we do want to comeback fight with you within 5 months. And they're like, yeah, no problem, something we can arrange. So that was perfect. And then, like I say, before the Monday after the fight, we got home. I rang my boss that morning saying, I'm going to pack in work. I'm going to give it all to his comeback fight. And like I say, by about 1 o'clock, I'd got a WhatsApp off Eddie saying, hiya, Josh. I know you've got a one fight deal, but how would you think about a three-fight deal under the Matchroom banner? I think we can do something really good and have a little bit of fun with you. And so obviously that was perfect situation to come out. Obviously said yes straight away.
Mhm.
Um, and that's it. And then, like I say, he said we've got a date penciled in mind for you if you're up for getting straight back in there, which is obviously April 19th. What I'm working towards now, which is perfect because it's 20 minutes down the road from me. Gonna have a lot of support there and get back to winning ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this was your first defeat from a nice long stretch of wins. How did you how did you process that?
Not well. I was obviously devastated for the next 24 hours while I was over there. Obviously, not really paying attention to everything else that were unfolding behind the scenes. Obviously, the big following, etc., and all the support. Obviously, I weren't bothered there because I were all devastated about losing. Because I didn't go just to make up the numbers and get the payday, as people sometimes say. I went to try and upset the odds, and obviously, like I say, that had gone down in history
Mhm.
as one of those biggest upsets ever if I'd have pulled it off, which unfortunately couldn't. But um, I've still not watched the fight back yet. Still can't bring myself to that. I like to say, bitter pill to swallow being first loss. And every now and then I'll be scrolling Instagram and there'll be a there'll be a video of Shakur peppering me to head, which I just skip straight by. Which I don't like watching them yet, but I will bring myself to watch it. A few of my friends have obviously texted me and stuff since saying you need to watch it. It's really good. You don't look bad at all in there, considering what happened in that. But I'll bring myself round to watch it eventually, but not yet.
You'll know when the time is right. And I agree with your friends to be honest, because the thing is your standard of yourself is going to be so high. So you'll be picking holes in everything that you're doing based on what you know you could do should you have had a full camp. But I think you should watch to be like the actually no, you didn't win, which didn't make, that huge upset of the night. But I think the upset of the night in general was people were like, this is pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. And this electrician guy is coming in on no camp and is going toe to toe with him, like, and holding. So I think if you can go into watching it back with that in mind rather than what you know you can do, you might find it a little bit easier to stomach. But then it's you and it's your fight and it's your body and it's your experience, so you might hate the whole thing anyway, based on that. You never know. I mean,
Throwing my phone out at window.
yeah, get through right round one and be like, I'm done. That's it. That's all I needed to see. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed about you, you're a very well, you hold yourself well. You're a very pulled together guy. That was something that I found about you when we met. It was really funny actually. When we on the fourth day when we were in Marbella, we all held pads for each other. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
absolutely terrified to hold pads for you because I hadn't been a coach for that long at this point. And I knew, obviously, again, for anyone who doesn't know, I was the only non-pro effectively who was out on this camp. So the 5K run on the last day was laughable because Josh was speeding up ahead at, you were just off, like going at speed. And I was like dragging myself up the back, just like, well, this is a humbling experience. But I remember holding pads for you and just being like, oh my God, this guy's a pro. Like, I'm not going to be able to keep up. And probably now I'd have a little bit more confidence because I've got that much more coaching experience. But honestly, I just remember being terrified. But one of the things I read on you, you were a very solid human being. Like, you knew who you were, you knew where you were going, you knew what you were doing, which none of which has changed. But the thing that I've noticed about you now is how much lighter you seem. Like your energy seems lighter. You seem like you're smiling and laughing more. Obviously, we didn't hang out for that long, but do you think that just you feel like you can kind of relax a little bit more and breathe out because everything that you've been working forward for this point has just allowed for almost like a weight to give within your chest because you're like, that doesn't mean that the journey has stopped. That doesn't mean it now gets easy, but you're kind of on the pathway, not working full time. You get to be a pro full time. You get to be an athlete full time. Do you think it's just kind of allowed something to give way in your system?
Yeah, like you say, there's been many a times that you like say manifest it all and stuff like that and think where you want to be. And now I'm in a position that all them years and that I'm where I want to be. I've obviously got a big task staying on top and performing every time now. But I've done it all my life working sort of thing, all my professional life working. So I know that I'll be able to even unlock a new level that even I don't know that exists there yet. Um, Given that, like I say, I am full time in that now. So it is nice knowing that, like I say, when you work hard for something and that I've reaped the rewards of it and it's paid off. And now I'm in my dream position. Like I say, free fight deal with Matchroom, who are, in my opinion, are best promotional outfit in the world. And they're actually in my corner backing me and coming up with ideas. And now they think my career can progress and stuff like that. So it's perfect situation to be in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a joy and an adventure in this now because you know what hard work looks like. If you can do what you've done up until this point whilst working a full-time job, you're building your own house as well, aren't you? Or renovating it.
Yeah, yeah, that were prior to the Chamberlain fight. We started doing that, and then we had to put it on hold for 8 weeks for Chamberlain because that were priority. But we're in the house now, so we're just about run out of money before that. So the
Good
payday
timing.
from Saudi will help. Yeah, good timing. The payday from Saudi will make it so we can actually finish the bedrooms upstairs now.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it almost like I say, there were when the week of the fight, I rang when the thing come the first call Tuesday night. I WhatsApped all my friends a group video, and we did the same in when we got the Wembley offer. I FaceTimed them all on WhatsApp when I were in the train station going up to Wembley because it come about the night before, and they wanted me in London the next day, so I had to cancel work and stuff. So I FaceTimed them all when we were at the train station, saying, "Guess where I'm going?" And they're like, where? And I'm like, I'm at the train station about to box on AJ's undercard, and they're all going mad in group chat on a WhatsApp video call. And then same happened this time, but it were a lot later this time, so there were only about half of them in there. But like I say, that Tuesday evening at I think about 10 or quarter past 10, I FaceTimed them all saying, "Oh, all answer quick. They're all in there. I'm like, that's where we're going. And then they're all booking flights and stuff. And there were a time in there, and I'm like, am I actually dreaming? Obviously, while all this is coming off, I'm like, am I actually about to go to Saudi, get obviously substantial amount of money, life changing almost, and fight for a world title? It were like there were a few times I was like texting group chat saying, "Is this a dream or is it actually happening?" So no, it's been an amazing. Like I say, what's it been now? Three and a half weeks, something like that. It's completely flipped everything on its head, and um, I'm now in the perfect position to build my career forward.
And finish your house, which is.
Finish the house. I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot of work myself. that's now slowed right down, and I'm bringing more people to come do work for me now.
That's the dream, isn't it? You could just like the fact.
Yeah, that's it. There were a few jobs on my list that I have. Like, I'll do it when I get round to it. And now I've got joiners coming. I'm like, can you just do it for me? And I'll pay. And they're like, yeah, no problem. So it's and they'll probably do a better job than me anyway. So
But how
it's all good.
it's brilliant. And it means that you can just, I guess, this is what you've achieved while renovating your house, while working a full-time job. And, it's absolutely, that Cinderella story and that kind of, you can make a movie out of this whole thing of just what sheer grit, determination, hard work, self-belief, and just showing up and showing up and showing, also not being afraid to say yes to those big, scary moments, because I'm sure there will be a lot of people in this world that when they got that call saying, can you come and do this? They could have given so many relevant reasons why it was a no. Like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not conditioned. No, I could fail, which is a big one. And that was absolutely not your narrative at all. It was absolutely, I've waited for this call.
Well, like I was saying before, I didn't want to. A failure is a failure, and you can build from a failure. Like I say, given the circumstances, it's easier to swallow, but the regret of not doing it, that I'd have. Imagine going back to work on that Monday, crawling back through that loft and doing that solar install, thinking, what if? Because that regret of doing it would have lasted forever, rather than the failure. Right, that's happened. Now time to rebuild, get on with it. Obviously, I give it a go. Best I could have done in the situation. Obviously, like I say, I've got a lot from it, but the like I say, almost, I think, as I say, in the bill of regret would have just ate you up forever. Because 10 years from now, you'd have been like, what if I'd have done that? What would have happened? What could have happened? It just ate you up forever. So no, like you say, it's worked out big time for me, and staying ready. And like I say, I've now, because there's been a few times now where fights have come off and the fights have been offered, and people have said, "Oh, you're dodging him and you're dodging him." I've just fought at the time Chamberlain, who were the best in the country, and then jumped in with the best in the world. So it's never a case of I'm scared of this person or scared of that challenge, because like I say, Chamberlain were even up at 140, which is not my weight at all. So it's all about what's the best for my career and what's going to do the best for me, which is always my mindsets on things. Which, like I say, it's again, I keep saying it, but it has physically paid off massively for me.
Totally. And no one could say that you're afraid or dodging, especially based on the things that you've just said. What are the next steps for you now? Obviously, you've got your three fight deal with Matchroom, and hopefully that will develop into more and more opportunities and more things. Is there anything like, I mean, obviously belts and titles, but is there anything specific for you that you're thinking like, I'd really like to go after that, or I'd like a second go with Stevenson, or like what would be things you'd like to work for now?
Just get back to that top level. Obviously, we're going to come down a few levels this time. My next fight is for a title, like a little international title. We're just waiting for opponent to be confirmed to be able to announce what title it's for. But I just want to be involved in them big nights. And like you say, when you talk about top level fighters and being involved in like massive bills over in like Vegas and America and all that sort of stuff, that's what I want out of boxing, so that I can sit back and, like I say, it's a shortish career. I'm 30 this year, so you've probably got 35 maybe at boxing. So I want to look back when I'm 35 and with no regrets whatsoever, and be involved in some of the biggest nights in boxing that I can be. I'm not doing too bad so far. I've been involved in biggest UK card there's been and biggest Saudi Arabia card there's been. So I'm off for a pretty good start. But it's like I say, it's about keeping that momentum there now and keep winning.
Absolutely. And I think that's I mean, it's almost borderline laughable, isn't it? It was like, how many years of graft you put into it, and then biggest card in UK history, biggest card probably ever, that people were saying it's like one of the best cards people have ever seen. And it just shows that the universe works in crazy ways. Like, you don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to keep showing up, keep doing the work, and it will turn out eventually.
Yeah, there were obviously when we were building up for the Stevenson fight, we were all getting a bit frustrated. We know offers. And obviously, I kept bringing my manager each week saying, "Have you heard out? Have you heard out?" He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "Trust me." He's like, Tom Stalker, my manager, he says there's certain people in boxing. He says, "Oh, I just think he says, I just think I'm blessed to do well and get good opportunities and just be involved in everything good. And he says, and this was before obviously Stevenson, he says, I just think we are one of them guys. He says, for some reason, he says, I don't know what it is. He says, there's something about you that just, I just got a feeling. Um, and jokingly, he Instagram messaged Turkey, which obviously is never going to see it, ever going to see it. Because he's probably run by somebody else that never just
Yeah.
in thousands of message requests that I even have got now, never mind Turkey. Um, I messaged him 2 weeks before getting the Stevenson fact saying, hey, mate, I managed Josh Padley who upset Chamberlain. How do we get back involved in a big card? He went and he says, like, nobody, he said, nobody will ever probably read it. He says, but it's worth a shot. And then long and behold, random Tuesday
Brilliant.
evening, we got that phone call. Yeah. And when we were in Saudi, he's like, listen, like showing us, he's like, look, he says, I told you, he told you. He says, you're just meant to be. He says, it's weird. So it is mad story. But like I say, when these opportunities come, just make it most of it and staying level headed.
Yeah, but I think also do one of the things that I'm really enjoying about what's happening for you is how much joy is evident because you're just so happy to be there. And I think don't allow yourself to still share that joy because it's contagious. Like, you know, it was contagious when you were in the ring and everybody was behind you. It's contagious how happy you are and how much you're just like, I'm just here for a good damn time. Like, I'm here to make a mark. I'm here to do it fast. I'm here to do it well. And people will continue to kind of jump on the Padley train, and that's what we want, right? More people to support you, get behind you, and
You're
get you
right.
higher up on those bills and getting those opportunities. Um, Josh, I'm not going to take any more of your time because obviously you're a big time, full time pro athlete now. So,
Not big time yet.
yeah, well, you know, you've jumped up into the people's mouths, people's hearts, and the people's eyes a lot quicker than a lot of people would from jumping from where you were to where you are. So I think, you know, you're bigger time than you maybe think, but I think the fact that you're so humble with it is also what makes you so likable. um, but look, I'm a big fan. I'm a champion of what you're doing. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Hopefully, because now I'm on the circuit, I'll be seeing you at the at some of your big nights and
Yeah, definitely.
chatting after all of your wins, obviously, because there's going to be many of them. But again, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with everything. Glad that the house is now in someone else's capable hands, and you can just focus on eating, sleeping, and dreaming boxing. And hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to be on.
Take care, Josh. See you soon.
Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye bye.